Once upon a time, there was a successful businessman named Edward. He had everything he could ever want in life: money, power, and a luxurious lifestyle. However, as he approached his 50th birthday, he began to feel a sense of emptiness and boredom that he couldn't shake off. One day, while browsing through an antique shop, Edward stumbled upon a painting that caught his eye. It was an exquisite portrait of a young man named Dorian Gray, whose striking features and mysterious smile seemed to draw him in. Without a second thought, Edward purchased the painting and took it home with him. As he stared at the portrait, he felt a strange sensation wash over him. It was as if Dorian's eyes were following him around the room, watching his every move. Despite this unsettling feeling, Edward couldn't bring himself to take his eyes off the painting. Days turned into weeks, and Edward found himself becoming more and more obsessed with the portrait of Dorian Gray. He would spend hours gazing at the painting, trying to unravel the mystery behind the young man's expression. However, as time went on, Edward began to notice something strange happening to the painting. The once youthful features of Dorian Gray began to wither and age, his once smooth skin growing wrinkled and his once bright eyes growing dull. It was as if the painting was taking on the physical toll of aging that Edward himself had been trying to avoid. As the painting continued to deteriorate, Edward's own health began to decline. He became weak and frail, his once youthful features becoming haggard and worn. Despite this, he could not bring himself to part with the portrait, which had become the center of his existence. One night, as Edward lay in bed, his eyes fixed on the painting of Dorian Gray, he suddenly felt a hand grip his shoulder. Turning around, he saw the ghostly figure of Dorian himself standing at the foot of his bed, his once handsome face twisted into a grotesque mask of horror. "You wanted to know the secret of my portrait," Dorian whispered, his voice echoing through the room. "But you were not prepared for the price you would have to pay." With that, the ghost of Dorian Gray disappeared, leaving Edward alone in his darkened room. The next morning, Edward's housekeeper found him dead in his bed, his face contorted into a look of terror. As she looked around the room, her eyes fell on the portrait of Dorian Gray, which now hung on the wall, restored to its original youthful appearance. It was as if the portrait had taken on Edward's aging and decay, leaving him a mere shell of his former self. And so, the legend of the portrait of Dorian Gray lived on, a cautionary tale of the price one must pay for eternal youth and beauty. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.